I was heavily encouraged to use the microphone, so I'm going to do my best to figure this out. This is the first time I've ever given this presentation, first time I've ever done anything like this, so I hope that doesn't come across too poorly. Shocked at how many people are here. I'm very grateful you guys showed up. I'm covering some stuff that I've done for a long time, some stuff that I'm just starting to do, and curious for your feedback at the end. So there's no cards on the table, so fill out if you got questions. I'm starting on time because I want to end on time, and I want to end with some time for feedback so that you guys can critique or encourage or suggest or whatever else you need to do. Yeah, Tim.
I'm sorry, don't want to interrupt. I just want to mention to everybody when we finish the session, you can go into that SCED app and you can actually also provide some feedback that Bobby will be able to get. So just remember that that's also there as well.
Perfect.
Talking to him is also good.
All right. Thank you, Tim. Yeah. I suppose more feedback is better than not. So if you guys do think I did a poor job, please write that. I'm serious. I'm not being funny. I want to know if this is a stupid method, if it's not a good thing for education, because I like what the keynote said, that we've got a bad perception as educators that, we just are those that can't, right? And she didn't finish the quote, so what I've heard, and actually this is when I was teaching at Cambridge, a kid told me this: those who can't teach teach gym, and those who cannot teach gym teach shop. And so that was my perception up there. And this is just one kid, one-off thing, but going to be referring to my slideshow for the most part. So that's my teacher crutch. We got room up here up front. The guys in the back didn't want to move, so if you guys want to sit up front, I promise I won't call on you. Grateful that you guys came, though. So a little bit about me. Married. I've got 3 young kids. My oldest is 4. I got a 2-year-old boy and a 8-month-old. So it is very busy at my house, but I kind of phrase it as blessing through a fire hose. And so I feel like I do a decent job teaching, but at 2:50 when my contract time is done, I go home, and I'm not spending till 7 p.m. working on this stuff because I feel like I'm a husband and dad first. And so that's kind of where I'm at in my season. And so that said, though, I really enjoy what I do, and I'm passionate about what I'm doing. And so, Scott, when I am at work, I am all in. I am working my tail off. And I've got a lot of experience, even though I kind of feel like I'm one of the younger guys in the room, in industry. So I spent 8 years in industry before I really became a teacher, and I've had several summer jobs since, and they're kind of highlighted up here. Started after high school at UPS, worked there for 2 years, actually rose to a supervisor role. After that, transferred to the U of M because I kind of thought maybe I'm going to be a teacher, so I'll go to get a history degree. And as I'm doing that, I'm taking summer jobs in construction, so Garlock French roofing. Northern Home Painters was a lot less physical of a job, so I enjoyed that. And then afterwards, I got encouraged by a couple, one rich uncle and then some of his golfing buddies, to start my own business so that they can just hire me to do all the stuff they don't want to do. And so I started my own company called 3M. Have you guys heard of it? Miller Maintenance and Mowing. There's another one out there, but I don't know. That's just the same cheesy joke my wife tells me not to use. But I got a flyer from that up there, and I enjoyed that, just that sole proprietor time where it was just me, and I was dependent on my own, and I could have my headset on and mow grass all day. And it evolved to the point where I had 33 clients, primarily in landscaping. And so I had a decent gig lined up, and at that point I had just graduated from Bemidji. I got my social studies teaching license. I got my CTE license at St. Cloud. And a job opportunity came up in the district that my wife was teaching at up in Cambridge. And so took that job and really enjoyed it, but it was a pay cut. So like the perception is fine, but it is a pay cut when you go into teaching. And so that was one of my frustrations. But, we work in the same district together. We're enjoying that. And I'll kind of go on to my teaching side in a minute here. But the summers that I've worked since then have been in woodworking, welding, or construction, the subject areas that I teach in. And for the majority of I'd say the primary reason why I'm working summers is this picture up here of my family. Diapers are expensive, so got to keep that income coming in. My wife stays home with them, bless her soul. And it's just so useful, I think, working outside of the classroom in the summertime and develop skills, see what the industry is actually doing. You can have an advisory board that blows the doors off of like how good it is, but if you're actually the one installing cabinets or the one learning how to TIG weld, like that, I feel has been more beneficial to me. Work for Knapp Classic Cabinetry up in Isani, Performance Welding out of Ham Lake. Forgetting one. Janish Wood Products, they're also in Ham Lake. And a big factor, too, is these are the ones that are close to my house. So I like to work kind of close to home. If we got a baby due or something, that's kind of helpful. And this last summer was probably the most pivotal summer for me because I worked for Safety Speed. That's why they get the biggest picture up there. And they're most recent, too. But I was hired there not to build machinery. And if you're not familiar with Safety Speed, they're the ones that make your panel saws in just about all your classrooms. And they hired me not to build them. They hired me to be in their marketing department and help with their sales. And part of that was developing curriculum for them using their saws. So I've got some plans for them. And I use them in my classroom, and they give it away for free. They do have a dollar value to this, but if you've got a Safety Speed saw in your shop, they'll give them to you for free, and you can get them for free from me too. I'm the creator, so I don't mind handing them out to you either. But they kind of like to track that thing too, and I'm grateful for them and hopeful to continue working for them in the future. But they brought me to the International Woodworking Fair, which, could I just get a poll, too, from you guys? If you've ever been to the International Woodworking Fair. Wow, okay. Not a single hand. That's discouraging because when I went there, and maybe you're not woodworking teachers, so I understand that, but when I went there, it was like me being in a candy store, like a kid in a candy store, or like dying and going to heaven. It was just such a remarkably like career-altering experience, getting to sit down with the teacher of the year in the wood industry, getting to meet the presidents of the companies that are doing the things in automation. And I'm like a unicorn there because I'm a shop teacher, and there are a couple other shop teachers there that are ambitious to do this kind of thing. And so I'm grateful for that opportunity. But I like building cabinets. I like epoxy river tables. I really dig woodworking. Okay, it's the thing that I can geek out on outside of family time. It's remarkable to think like I'm a 10-year veteran of teaching now, not just like education, like volunteering, but in 2015, I started substitute teaching for Minneapolis public schools. That's after I didn't get into the social studies program at the U of M. I thought, okay, well, I got to market myself. I got to start building some stuff on my resume. So I started substitute teaching in Minneapolis. I added the districts that you see below: White Bear, Forest Lake, Centennial, Anoka, Hennepin. And then after 2018, that's when I sold 3M and moved up to Cambridge with my wife and taught there for a couple of years. COVID struck, and so I made a transition to middle school. Our daughter was also born that year, and so I wanted to give my wife the opportunity to stay home because that's what she expressed a desire to do, and so take a job at a little bit higher paying district. Did not care for middle school. If you teach middle school, God bless you. I love their energy. I can keep up with them for about an hour. After that, it's like, oh my gosh, I got to sit down. You guys, there's another group of you coming in, and then 4 more after that. Like, seriously, God bless you folks. Then I settled in to Coon Rapids, where I'm at now, and I am so honored because they have got such an enormous wood shop. We've got 5 CNC machines, 3 saw stop table saws. I've got an area of my room I call Routerville because I've got 10 routers set up. Not that we need that, but I've got the room, and I hate changing out the heads on the router. So it's a cool thing, I think. And this all kind of happened as I'm going to try to pursue a job teaching history to teenagers. And thank God I did not land there. But that's why I say I'm the best social studies teacher ever, is because I quit that, and now I'm teaching woodshop. But that's just a little bit about where my teaching path has taken me. I've been in a ton of different schools. I've seen a lot of environments, and you get a lot of behavioral work too if you're working in urban and then rural and then suburban, and just all the kind of different demographics too has just been really fruitful for me, and different age groups too. Oh my gosh. That's my cheesy little slide when I need to take a drink. So I want to talk about what wood shops are like in schools today, specifically the methods. And I feel like that's the one I've kind of excelled at, which I want to share with you guys. But then as far as marketing and artificial intelligence, I kind of want you guys' take on this too. But I just want an informal poll here, and I'm not going to call you out or do anything later. But if you think cell phones in schools has been a net negative for us, would you please raise your hand? Okay, maybe about a quarter of the room. Cool, okay. A bunch of people that are nervous because I'm going to call you out. I'm not going to call you out, okay? I'm going to ask the question about the question later. But in my classes, they're very traditional, whereas we build a shed in construction, we build furniture pieces in our woodworking classes and try to make cabinets exciting, which is kind of difficult if we're just building boxes all the time. So I try to make it a little bit more exciting with rocking chairs, entertainment centers, jewelry boxes, tongue drum instruments, bookshelves, things like that. So you learn the process, you learn the methods, you get the automation taste. But really, that's happened before. And as I started teaching too, like I did not like the cell phones. You know, they're on them all the time. And I graduated in 2010. I had a flip phone when I graduated, and I was real good at hiding that thing, and so were all my friends. And it was at that point, you do not have them in school. And so in 2010, I graduate, go off to college, business, and then when I returned to teaching in 2015, kids are like, you guys have them all out on your desks. And I thought, oh my gosh, am I supposed to take that right now? Because that's what I would have had happened to me 5 years earlier. And so I've kind of got a unique perception on this, or unique perspective on this situation. And I stopped fighting them. And by not fighting them, I'm not just looking the other way. I'm asking my kids to utilize them. So if you look on my little front table here, I've got some things that I've got printed out that I have around my room. But the philosophy is that I'm going to be more entertaining, I'm going to be more engaging than what is on their cell phone, because I teach an elective class for something that they want to know about. This doesn't work as well as in an English classroom. So if you're English social studies, you're going to have more of a challenge on this. But what my woodworking plans look like, I've got some updated, better examples up here too, even cross-discipline, that we make this end table. It's got a drawer. We have rabbit and dado, joinery methods. We're gluing up panels. We're jointing the legs. Ton of pocket screws hold that thing together. I mean, it's as far as like in the woodworking world, it is a very basic project. I've got a friend who works at Wood of the Hood, if you guys know about that company. He doesn't have electricity in his part of where he works because it's all block planes and mortise and tenon joinery and things hand-cut dovetails. God bless you guys that still do that. That is so cool. And a great skill, right? But I'm trying to prepare them for the industry and give them something that they can have that will be quality for them to put in their parents' living room for the next 30 years, which it is pretty routine from how it goes. But anyway, the QR codes that you'll see listed on my woodworking plans next to each step link to YouTube videos of me actually doing that step. And I don't do live demonstrations anymore after safety training. I should back up first and say that this all comes after safety training. I've got 10 fingers, 2 eyes, both feet. Everything works, and I expect that from my kids. So they get 100% on the safety test. They test out with me hand over hand before they do anything on the saws. After that, that's where I put them off to the races. It's the actual process videos that I'm looking for. So, how to cut your sheet on the panel saw. Okay, very simple. Yet, if you got a kid that's never done it before, and there's a couple things you need to think about outside of the safety parameters, that's what the QR code videos do. And it started out, this is just going to be me videotaping it because this kid is going to be absent tomorrow. All right, and that's helpful, but it's a 15-minute video, and you essentially have to run flipped classroom for that to work. So where I've gotten this to the point is that I'm editing my videos now so that they're under 5 minutes for each step. Okay, even some of the most extreme, like advanced steps that we do, like say on the drawer when we make those rabbits and dados, I might really shorten that step, but I make sure that video is less than 5 minutes so that those kids, they don't lose attention span. They don't have a notification that comes in. I encourage them to put on airplane mode after they put the video on, but that never happens. Because that's what I'm fighting now, because our school is taking a step back and potentially in the right direction because phones are a problem in schools. So they're trying to take them out of the schools. And now when they get to my class and I'm asking them to use this as a resource, they've got 30 notifications. A kid showed me on his cell phone yesterday a picture of something that he built at home. And it was in his text messages because he texted it to his mom. And I look and he's got 95 text messages, and this is at the end of the day. He's like, yeah, that's pretty typical because he's not checking notifications, which I think is a good thing in other classes when they're expected to read Shakespeare, they're expected to do long division, all the stuff that I don't like to teach. So it's good that they're focused in there. That's just my present challenge, is that notifications are upping in my classroom. But still, those were unread text messages. At the end of the hour during cleanup time, he's showing me this. He hasn't gone to them, and he's also just put on one of the last code to finish on his project. So they are working. I've been encouraged to reassess this. So some of our, it's called QComp, but it's professional development, and teachers wondered about this last year. And so I had 5 kids volunteer to interview for how this method works, and I'll let the kids speak for themselves here.
Mr. Miller asks, did you watch the demonstration video for the step that you're on in the process?
Yeah.
You want to demonstrate? What step are you on?
Cut it like to the finish
Okay. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how prepared for this next step were you after watching the demonstration video?
like a 10.
Like a 10? It makes total sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay. And what else would be helpful to include in his videos or plans in the future that would make sure it stays as clear as it is now for you?
Oh yeah, it's pretty clear stuff. All right.
In every video that's worked for you like that, you feel like you know exactly what you're doing coming out of it?
Yeah.
All right, thank you, sir. Anything else you want to say to Mr. Miller? Okay, not even high? Okay. And you.
This is where my perspective of teaching in a rural and urban and suburban district kind of come in, because when I taught up at Cambridge, kids have used drills before. They've been welding on tractors with their grandpa forever. Teaching in a suburban community now, kids never even used a drill. He doesn't know righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. And so I get that opportunity, and they're teenagers, they're a little bit awkward. I'll go through some of the advantages, but I'll kind of preface this next one here, Joe. He's on the most difficult part of the end table in our intro class. So this is cabinetry 1, where we're building the end table. He's at the most difficult step of the process.
Your name is?
Joe Hesley.
Nice to meet you, Joe.
Nice to meet you too.
Did you watch the demonstration video for the step that you're working on?
Yes, I did.
Yes, you did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, how prepared for the next step were you after watching that demonstration video?
Probably like an 8 or a 7.
What did you feel unprepared?
A couple different things like cutting down and refining. It was a little tricky, but I'm working with it. I'm figuring out. So
Okay.
it's pretty good.
What else would be helpful to include in videos or his plans?
Tips or tricks to cut down stuff to the final length, and that should be about it.
Okay, anything else you want to say, Mr. Miller?
Nope, that's about it.
Okay,
That's the next video, by the way, cutting down that drawer.
nice to meet you. First question. Did you watch the demonstration video for the step that you're working on right now?
No.
Okay, explain.
It's kind of, I don't watch the videos because it seems it's easier for me to just figure it out on my own without a video and go off of examples and just figure out how to make it fit my way.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how prepared for the next step were you after watching the demonstration video? Talk about it. Come on, just reply to the question best you can.
I just gotta trim up my my drawer spacers a little bit because they're too long.
And what else would be helpful to include in the videos or the directions that Mr. Miller gives
You
you?
don't watch.
What would help you more?
I don't know. maybe a little more in-depth video of actually what he's doing, maybe going over it a couple times.
Anything else you want to add? No. Thanks for giving me your time.
So, I love Cooper. Now, he finished on time. He made several mistakes. But that figure it out mentality, I also don't quash. All right. So if a kid does want to figure it out on his own, I'll make sure they're not going to make any catastrophic or safety mistakes. All right. But this is a resource for you. Okay. I'm not going to hold your hand through it. Okay. If you do want to figure it out, like, I'm going to have my eye on you. All right. To see what this looks like. And I've tried this with adults too. So when I didn't mention it, but I did a woodworking seminar for the employees at Safety Speed. And I had the similar method, all right? I told them you got to watch the QR code videos and then go build your project. And their head of sales and one of the guys that builds the crates that surround the panel saw when they go out to ship, so like an actual woodworker, and their head of sales teamed up. They did not watch the videos because they had that cavalier mindset. Okay, it probably was where it got them there in life that they've been able to figure it out on their own. All right, but they made several mistakes along the way. That was like, gosh, we can't sand this now because we've already attached the top. So I guess we're going to be doing a lot of hand sanding at this point. Whereas if you went through the process here, and this is for people to understand, right? It's for us to teach them the process of woodworking here. But anyway, last thing I'll say about Cooper, we had the Shaper Origin. We got the Shaper Origin last year. It's a handheld CNC unit. And I know nothing about them. I've watched tons of YouTube videos. I see people who use them. I have got, most of the time, packed classes at 25. So when this thing came in brand new in the box, I've got good rapport with Cooper. He's on the trap and ski team. And so I'm like, hey, you want to figure this out for me? And he's like, what is it? I said, I really don't know. Why don't you just tell me once you figured out? Okay. And we had that thing up and running in about a week. Okay, and that's because I had that rapport. I would not give that to just about any student, especially the student I'm sure here at the end. But that figured out mentality is not quashed based off this method either.
Your name, please.
Amelia Eric.
Okay, man, so did you watch the demonstration video for the next step?
I did not, no.
Please explain.
I thought it was tedious, and I'm more of a reader, so I like reading the instructions.
Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, how prepared for the next step are you? He asked after watching the demonstration video, but I can ask you after reading the instructions.
Oh, like an 8.
You're pretty
Yeah,
sure?
sometimes you just have to do it.
And what are the missing pieces there for the last 2 points there?
Well, he does a lot of videos. I'm not a video girl, I like reading, so I wish there was like a reading copy, you know what I mean?
Okay. What else would be helpful to include in the video or plans?
No video, I just do like a written out plan.
Interesting. Thank you.
All right, I took her advice and added a lot more verbal description. And she's captain of the debate team. Very decorated individual. In my opinion, should have been our valedictorian. She took my advanced class where we build the rocking chair straight out of Wood magazine from like 2001. And I've updated those plans. We use a CNC machine for the legs and corbels and arms too. And I gave her the Wood magazine subscription. I said, the magazine. I said, here, you can use this for your project. And I said, I've got mine over here, but that's what you said. And I wasn't a jerk about it. I just said, this is what you wanted. And you can probably guess which one she finally went on to. But finished the rocking chair. All these kids did a phenomenal job, even Charlie.
And your name is?
Charlie.
Nice to meet you. Here's where your project's at.
I'm doing my legs again because I messed them up the first time.
How did that happen?
I messed up the measuring, and this wasn't flat, and this wasn't flat.
Show that again.
This was not flat, this was not flat, and the measuring was off. So I kind of just gave up and did it again.
Okay, so here are Mr. Miller's questions for you. Did you watch the demonstration video for that step?
No.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how prepared for that step were you then?
I'm more prepared now. Before I'd say like a 5 maybe. Now I'd say a 7 to 8.
Okay. And what else would be helpful to get you to a 10 in terms of understanding?
Probably watch the video.
Charlie finished, plenty of time. All my kids have. And I chalk it up to this method, okay? This has been described as flipped classroom. It's not. Flipped classroom is where you're watching these demos at home. Now, Elijah does that in the video. He explains that in the video. Like, yes, he watched this at home. That's how you can be most efficient. But I got elective kids. I got kids that don't do school. They don't like school. And so student here has got his phone out. He's watching that demonstration video of me laying out that board right there. Okay, the advantage is it's not live teacher dependent. Okay, at this stage where kids are laying out their boards, I've probably got half that are still going through safety training where they're working on their practice cuts. And so I need to be by the table saw, hand over hand with the kids that are terrified of the saw. Okay, once I get them through that and that anxiety leaves them, then, and they've figured out how to use the machinery accurately, then I turn them loose onto this. And they don't have to wait for me. If I was giving a demonstration on how to turn the power on this machine right here for our projector, okay, those of you guys in the back aren't going to see that the power button's right here. Okay, you guys who are right here, you have the greatest spot in the world. That's what this kid's got right there. It's available when the student is ready. Okay, so if you're gone, if you were sick, if you want to work ahead, you've got that capability. I've got some stops written in here so that kids don't make any catastrophic mistakes. So there is a little bit of thought involved. I wouldn't just cowboy this and make a bunch of videos and say, go and do it. Works on YouTube. It doesn't work when you got teenagers. Okay, so I've even got that up here. So I've got this stop right here. I want them to check their layout for their legs when they're building the coffee table. I used to think that it was best when it was just raw, it was real, it was unedited. In reality, it was laziness for me because I didn't want to learn the editing software to make my videos shorter. So now, on this project here, I'm building a coffee table. It takes about 50 screws, okay? And to drive a screw in, it takes a couple seconds, right? Which isn't a lot, okay? But if you're doing a demonstration, and it's going to take me 20 minutes to put this thing together, but I can edit that down to 5 or 6 minutes. Okay, that's way more efficient for the kids because they can get it. Okay, it takes 6 screws to put the side together. Okay, see me do 1 in real time, then the next 5 are quick. So I feel it's more efficient, and one of the biggest thing that I like it makes me more accessible. All right, I was pretty much a B student when I went through high school, but I feel like I could have been an A, but I wasn't that guy to put yourself out there, which doesn't make sense because I'm standing in front of you guys, right? But I hated asking the teacher for help. If this would have existed for me, I would have been all over those videos. I am all over podcasts now, trying to learn and do as much as I can. If I want to do maple syrup in the spring, okay, I'm listening to podcasts on maple syrup. I'm on Facebook pages. It's the time to geek out because the resources are available to you, and I think we should be making them available to our kids. The thing I should have added on here is that I separated my shoulder about a month ago at a church football event, which we took dead last in, so it was worth it. But it took me out of the classroom for about 2 weeks when we were doing those rabbits and dados. At that time, my arm's in a sling. I can't do this safely with one hand, okay? And so the kids had access to that, and I had to be gone for another reason. I don't remember why, but I assigned those on my sub day for the kids to learn how to do rabbits and dados. Some of the kids had already done them, but they make a good resource too for some sub days. In the advanced classes, I give them project choices, and I've written plans for each one of the projects that you see up there. The one on the bottom right is a tongue drum instrument. That's the latest one that's under construction right now of how to build it. Funny backstory on that too. I can tell it another time. But this allows me to have all these projects going where I don't need to be directly involved giving even minor demonstrations to kids because I've got that QR code for those advanced kiddos. I got better access to machines. So if you've got a machine in your classroom that you rarely use, or maybe it's like really finicky. So our time saver, for instance, you need to press 5 of these 7 buttons in the correct sequential order in order for it to turn on. Kids aren't going to remember that, but I've got a QR code right here, right next to there, how to turn it on. It is 30 seconds. I'm very lucky I've got a good sized wood shop to work in, but for a kid to forget that, okay, I'm going to go find Miller. Oh, he's working with that kid. Oh, then he's got one more after that. Okay. Oh, kid's misbehaving over there. Okay, so Miller's, okay, someone's already on the time saver. Okay, well, now what do I do? Okay, now I finally get to Miller. Now, hey, will you show me how to start this thing? Okay, I walk back. That's probably been 10 minutes of that kid's valuable time in the wood shop. All right, and I plan my classes so that the projects take all trimester because we're building some cool stuff. 30 seconds, I think, is a lot more efficient. Yes, the kid has got the phone on them. That is a distraction. I get that. But here, the kid wants to sand his board. I'm giving him that resource. If a kid is over hiding behind the time saver on his phone, I have a very good heart-to-heart with them, okay? Because I feel like I'm also sticking my neck out doing this method. And so I ask those kids, too, to really hammer down on that. And Ron Grossinger is the host of Shop Class Podcast, and he gave me the term tour of the machine, which is much fancier. He teaches out in New Jersey, automotive, and they've got some very rarely used machines, but when the kid has to use them, like my line boring machine, just a fancy drill press that drills a whole bunch of holes at once. Okay, we've already got drill press training. All right, you know, keep your hands out of the sharp spinning bit. All right, here's how you use it. And in that video, I've got to stop to them as well to tell them, I think it's, if I remember right, tell me what country music station is on or something like that in the video before you come and use this. Because you'll hear that. If you got the shop teacher ears, you know the certain sounds like, okay, that one didn't fit. All right, and so you go on and say that. It's like, man, you didn't watch the video. What are you doing? And then at that point, I don't say, go watch the video like a jerk. I'll say, okay, let's go. I'll show you how to do this because I want that restoration too. All that fluffy teacher stuff that they teach us how to do to restore the relationships. It's a good thing. Okay, I'm not trashing it. I think it really is a good thing. Makes it more fun too. I don't want to just be mean Miller up all the time. When we're talking more advanced machinery, this one might look familiar, like a CNC machine. We've got 5 CNC machines. We got the Shaper Origin now. 3 of them have different, actually now 4 of them have different drivers, so different software that they're using. So to take a kid through, you almost have to hold their hand through the first time. Now I've overcome that using cell phones from the kids with a 1-minute video, how to prepare the CNC bed. 1-minute video, how to load your sheet, 4x8 sheet of plywood onto the CNC. Okay, if you're with kids doing that, it is not as simple as just put it on there. Okay, we don't have a vacuum bed, we don't have a tool changer, and so all that stuff is covered in there. They're quick, under 5 minute. Honestly, sometimes they're under a minute because they'll get cast as a YouTube short rather than an actual video, which allows us to make some more cool things. And I've got it over here. At the end of the trimester, I'll have a ton of kids that are done with their project, nothing to do. And so I've got these mini CNC machines, and I know how fortunate I am to have all this equipment available to me, but you can come up with it with a lathe. You can come up with it with carving spoons. I mean, and when you do, please share them with me too. But I've got this Tormach CNC, so a little mini mill, and so I've got some personal files that kids can use, or they can develop their own files, and this is after they finish their intro project. Okay, it takes a good chunk of the trimester for that, but some of the best kids like Elijah, like Joe, like they'll have a month left for projects like this. And at that point, when I give them these set of plans with the how-to videos on them, it kind of depends on the kid, but I'll tell them, okay, you can't ask me any more questions. You got to use this. All right, if that's the go-getter kid, or if it's the kid that has asked me 4 questions when 1 would suffice, I'll say, okay, you can only ask me 3 more questions on this. And of course, I'm not going to hold to that, but it kind of gets that kid to think on their own, that critical thinking, all that great stuff that we want to hear, right? So it just offers more of us to the kids, is what I see in it. I think there's a lot of cross-discipline capability. I also teach graphic design, but I am no graphic designer, so please don't. And you probably noticed that in the slide deck here, right? I've got my designer's guide here, and I recorded this last year after having put it off for several years because we had a new teacher, and I thought this method could work for screen printing, for die sublimation, for vinyl sticker cutting, and anytime you're making anything, I found that this works. I keep the videos small, or short rather, how to do your stuff, and this one too, because I've got different disciplines within that class of graphic design, it allows me to have screen printing, die sublimation, vinyl cutting going at the same time, and I am not running my head or running like a chicken with his head cut off. So that's where I've seen a lot of value in it, cross-discipline too. Stuff I don't know about is going to be the next about 5 minutes. So AI, I've gotten some use out of it from professional development. Otter AI is a voice to text kind of thing. So when my latest QComp guy came in, he's like, I want you to put his phone in my shirt pocket because he's going to be listening to my conversations with kids, because talking over machines and him trying to figure out what the machine does, let alone how I'm helping the kid, hasn't been effective for him in the past. So he was able to actually see from his computer about 10 feet away what I was saying to the kid that was scared to death on the table saw, and how I coached him through it, how we figured out that cut, and they're like, wow, that was great. I would have never gotten that because the kid wasn't, because I'll ask the kid too, are you nervous right now? It's like, okay, then we kind of work through that, and then, but you know what to do. I'm going to be right here with you. My hands are right over yours, okay? We're nothing wrong. We're not going to have anything wrong as long as you do what I say, okay? And so that was captured with Otter AI is the format or the structure there, and that is a paid one. Google Doc AI translation is the coolest thing for me because I had a student start in the fall, not a lick of English. He spoke Arabic. He couldn't even understand the letters because this is the plan I created for him, and I can't read that. I'm not the one that translated it, but Google Doc AI translation was super simple, and so when I figured that out, I went to our speech people. We have 52 languages spoken at Coon Rapids High School. Right now, every single one of my plans has that. My next frontier is figuring out how to translate directly the QR code so the kid doesn't have to go in through YouTube captions and translate it from English to Arabic. But this is just kind of funny, too, to see something I created, but in a language that is nothing like mine.
Bobby, how close was it? Because I saw this. And you had your student looking at it.
Yeah.
How close was it when he looked at it?
So the question is, how close was it? He said it was pretty good. And the speech people at Coon Rapids, I asked them, too, on this. How can I translate so we can get to everybody? And they said Google Translate is probably the best for this. And I'm not paid to say that, but I'm just sharing what I've learned because this will probably change in about 5 minutes. Okay, there'll be some AI that comes out that can translate stuff way better, have that integrate with your QR code or your YouTube video so that it's streamlined. That's the trouble I'm having with this student because he's also not very tech savvy either. He just got a smartphone a year ago, like most teenagers. So, okay, how do you change captions on a YouTube video? But we figured that out, and Scott can attest to this, maybe about 2 weeks ago. Trimester's been going since the fall. He's got an end table that's finished. It's got a drawer, and he did an awesome job on it. Okay, so somehow it's working. Even though you don't need to hear me, you can see what's going on in the video, the demonstration, and do it. Vector creation, I've used Canva. That's got an AI feature onto it too. And the latest one where, again, I don't understand it, but I'm just scratching the surface, is Brisk Teaching. And I have that's a Chrome extension, and it's going to follow you everywhere, which is a little bit creepy, right? It's a little bit spooky if you ask me. But for a sub-assignment, I've got this creation, and it says 6th grade right now because that's what I kind of figure where my kid's reading level is at, and it's not an insult, it's just kind of a reality of where the standard shop kid is at, and I don't want them to be burdened by extra long words when they're taking a shop class. I want them to know how to cut their wood, and so AI created this presentation based off of those plans right there, not the Arabic version, but my English version. and they can also have a tutor that has got some teaching elements with it. And this is where I don't understand it, and I'm just trying to figure it out. So if you guys have figured it out better than me, that's what I'm going to try and learn later on in the day. But it's a cool kind of thing. I think we should be looking at it because it is the future. Okay. Now we're going to pivot here, and I know I got 10 minutes left, but I want to talk about social media for a minute. And here's one too. I think it's net negative on society, but the cat's out of the bag. The bell has been rung, and so I think this is how we can kind of go to what was said in the keynote, how we change the perception by having a more positive online presence. So when you walk into a wood shop, just stereotypically, you see dust, you see dangerous equipment, it's greasy, there's a bunch of, burly-looking people, but that's really not the reality anymore, and I'm sure your shops can kind of attest to this too. And the question I have too, how do we market our program so that we change that? Kind of depends on what we actually determine the value of the question, why market your program? And so I think the networking feature is so wonderful. I'm terrified that I'm talking to all of you guys right now, just on the inside. But conferences like the MTEA, International Woodworking Fair, the AWF-S is the next biggest one in Las Vegas. It's the companion to IWF. Filling out your advisory boards. This is 21st century networking, and it's adding in now Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook groups, YouTube podcasts, and Twitter. And if you're going to conferences, be interactive. I'm grateful. I'm hopeful I get some questions at the end, and hopefully I have time to address them all. But I've seen a lot of fruit from this, and it does come at a cost. I mean, if it was up to me, this is my spirit animal right here, Ron Swanson. If it was up to me, I would stay in my wood shop, be quietly successful until I had a long gray beard and I could retire. But I see a lot of fruit in LinkedIn. We've had some significant donations because people saw what I was doing with my students on LinkedIn and my enthusiasm and passion and engagement and all that, whatever. Media attention has also come from LinkedIn and Instagram. So a couple Woodworking Network, local magazine that I'm blanking the name of right now, asked to showcase us based off what they saw from us on Instagram. I've got a ton of ideas just based off what I see other teachers doing on Instagram. Hammerschlagen for construction class, how fun is that? Okay, I would have never thought of that if it wasn't just scrolling Instagram and saw another teacher post a picture of his kids. And then I'm a competitive person, so okay, I want to do better. And so it's going to be a better video. It's going to be more engaging for kids. And I feel like that's giving us, some professional development tools there too. Podcasts. I love podcasts just personally, but there's a lot of woodshop podcasts that you can follow just to learn the craft more, to go into the weeds on hand-cut dovetails. I mean, I'll go and listen to those podcasts too because I want to know what those people think about the guys who are going into automation, stuff like that. Kind of parroting on professional development. Cleanup methods. I've never been successful of getting my kids to clean up until I started networking and seeing what other teachers do. And it kind of comes down to, too, is my high school, he was a football coach, but he was also my gym teacher. And he said, life is simple. Just watch what the great ones do and do that. And that's kind of what I've been trying to do here and then try to improve upon it. Collaboration, program funding on X and YouTube. And there's tons of influencers that are local here because we got the Minnesota Woodworkers Guild. And so George Von Driska has offered to come and speak and would probably speak if you reached out to him. There's a couple more that it's what the kids are seeing. Steve Ramsey, Alex Snodgrass. If you show them and engage with students and say, this is what they're doing on YouTube. I know you were following your favorite gamer that's videotaping himself while he's playing his game. Check out Alex Snodgrass. He's going to make a cutting board on a bandsaw that's way better than what I could do. So that's kind of the fruit that I see, and it's the next frontier. My daughter turned 4 in October, and we bought her a smartphone. Just kidding. I'm not that crazy, okay? I know I probably sound a little crazy, and But I really feel like the cat is out of the bag, and if we look at electricity or gunpowder or automobiles, there are always naysayers or always the people that say, nope, we're not bringing electricity into our house. You know, I'm sticking with my horse-drawn carriage because that's what I know, but really those are the people that get left in the past, and I'm happy to keep the good things of the past, but the bell's been rung, and so we can't unring it. It's here. Kids are going to have smartphones. How do we compete so that we can win? How can we engage better? How can we network better? And we're going to have to network so we can figure out this AI and how it can come to the Woodshop classes. But the ultimate question is like, what are we equipping our kids for? And so that's just the reason why I'm up here, and hopefully get some insight from you. I'm on all the platforms. I'll probably end up on Blue Sky too, that next crazy one, but we can learn from each other. So yeah, I'm Mr. Miller's Woodshop everywhere. But all I got. Thank you all.